I'm here to talk about Jim Dunlop and MXR pedals. If you haven't been over to the Jim Dunlop site in a while, I suggest you go right now because everything you could possibly need for the gigging guitar player is there. From picks to cables to pedals, their iconic line of MXR pedals, the Jim Dunlop Crybaby, the Tortex picks, need I go on? There's even a signature pick for most, if not all, of your favorite guitar players right there. Straps, strings, everything you could possibly want. I've personally used Jim Dunlop and MXR products for as long as I can remember. They've also been a partner here at the podcast since the beginning, and I'm honored that they have been with us, and I love the folks over there. I think you will too, so check out what they're doing at jimdunlop.com. I'd like to welcome our newest sponsor, Schecter Guitars. They are celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. 50 years. They have sent me the 50th anniversary of the C1. Man, this thing is just beautiful. It plays great. It was set up perfectly once I got it out of the case. There's something for everyone over there at Schecter. Find out more of what they're doing at schecterguitars.com. Of the Anti-Heroes Podcast with your host, Zach Blair. I am Zach Blair. Thank you so much for listening, as always. Really appreciate it. Today's a very special, important episode for me because this is the second time my brother, Donnie Blair, is going to be on. Maybe we'll make this a common occurrence once a season. He's my first repeat guest. I haven't done that yet. And so we check back in with him. If you are familiar with this podcast, you're familiar with my episode with him before, which kind of fell off the rails in a good-natured, brotherly argument over an old bass he used to have. We were going to redo it, but I was just like, you know what? This is how it really is with him and I. So not that we bicker. I mean, we bicker. We don't ever fight, because we overall love each other very much. He's my guy, and we're in each other's corner. And I love him, and I'm proud of him, and we have some big announcements. He has a new record coming out with the Toadies. He has another recording coming out that he can't really talk about. They recorded with the late, great Steve Albini, and he has a new podcast coming out right here on the Ruinous Media Network. We talk about it a lot. It's called Why Bass, and I'm very proud of him, and that's very exciting. It might be out by now, because I never know when these are going to come out, but I will let him tell you all about it. So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you listen to my interview with my big brother, Donivan Blair.
Do you leave me when you're dreaming? Do you feel me pressed to your side? I'm the liar.
You're the first repeat guest, repeat offender.
Am I?
That's terrible.
It's not repeat offender.
You're the first second timer, yes.
But if it's bass, I could be Mikey Offender of the Offenders.
Of the Offenders of Texas.
But he also played the bass on John Wayne Was a Nazi. So
he sure did.
And
he sure did.
Was that him on Dealing With It? Why do I think he was on Dealing With It? He was on Dealing With It.
That's a deep cut because not a lot of people know that DRI's original origins were in Texas. They were a fucking Texas band.
You know who does know
and
that?
Then they moved.
Joe Principe. Bet you he knows that.
Well, they moved to fucking
San Francisco,
and they were more known for being a band from San Francisco.
Yeah.
However, they originated in Texas.
All of them? You think all of them? Did they just move out there?
Mikey Offender Bass, DRI Dealing With
So
It.
I thought so. I
Holy
know my
shit.
I mean, listen to
wow.
Oh God, all of the fast double picking. He was just so badass. So Offender's not too bad. I mean, if you put a different word before it, other words, yeah, it's bad. But if you put Mikey before Offender, then I'm okay with that. Bad. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Top 5 favorite bass tones, bass sounds.
Favorite bass tones?
I probably have an idea of the majority of them.
I think favorite. I like, a lot of them. But I think the first one that stuck out when we were kids was Chris Squire.
All right, I figured that.
Roundabout, which was like,
And long distance.
holy shit.
Yeah, that whole record.
Well, I'm just from roundabout.
Yeah.
That was the first time I heard, if you could call it lead bass, but, where it really stuck out to both of us. And then, because, our dad, for those uninitiated that don't know, our father was a classic rock radio DJ and had really great taste in music. So when I heard that poking out like that, because records won't mix like that and records didn't sound like that, and bass didn't sound like that. Bass, at that point, were flat wounds. It was buried. It was the low end. It was this thing that was poking out. Then I realized, oh shit, like say Lovely Rita Meter Maid, Beatles, that's the bass doing that. You could then retroactively go back and go, oh, that was the bass.
Yeah.
That was the bass. So I think that would probably be the sort of ground zero. And then...
Well, me too. You and Dad were wanting me to play bass.
Right.
I think Dad didn't want to splurge and buy any fucking drums. And where would we have put them?
Also, to anyone, my brother wanted to be a drummer at first.
I did.
And we have this dorky picture of us with... I have an acoustic guitar. They got us that Christmas. They got me an acoustic guitar, and they got you... They were called Sonics drums.
Sonics, yeah.
They were like, if you looked at it, it was a square the size of like a large iPad, and it had like a little, like some buttons on it, and it had 4 circular pads, and you hit them with your fingers, and you could change to like do-dee, do-do-dee. One would be a kick drum, one would be a snare. It was like an early drum machine, but you kind of manually hit the buttons yourself, which would kind of be cool now to have. I bet you could.
Great, I wish we had it now.
Like, I bet you could, hook it into a DAW and use it, but. It's a dorky picture of us, and you're playing that, and I'm playing an acoustic guitar. And I was 9, and you were 11, and I was like,
"Wait, where did you see that? Who has that?"
I have it. I don't know if I have it. I just remember that photo. It's a Polaroid.
I'll bet your mom probably has it. Yeah, she's got all that shit.
I remember thinking like, "Oh, we're on our way," and like not realizing how fucking far we had to go. But you wanted to play drums for like 2 of those years, and then you became a bass player, and it was much easier. But I think after that, Steve Harris.
Rad. Okay.
Which is weird because later finding out that he used flat wounds, which is crazy for as rubber bandy, for lack of a better term, his tone was. And he realized that how fucking powerful his fingers must be to get all of that sound and definition out of flat wounds, which...
But I get it after playing flat wounds.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah.
And flat wounds, I thought that flat wounds used to be just, if you wanted, for Duck Dunn and James Jamerson and those kind of guys. But
sure,
like JPJ, John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin, always flat wounds on his precision, on his jazz bass. So think about that from like what is and what should never be. Beautiful, smooth tone to Heartbreaker. Same bass, same strings, exact same. You can just do so much with it.
No, I mean, you're right. You're right.
All
and
right,
then,
you got 3 more.
J.J. Brunel from Stranglers. Everybody, just anyone listen to Peaches. Just listen to Peaches. I mean, listen to the Stranglers. Listen to every fucking record you can find of the Stranglers. But definitely Peaches. It's, I don't know if he was the first, but everything was the purveyor of like, he took what Chris Squire did a step further and plugged into a high watt guitar head. And then beyond that, he begat John Wright from No Means No, which in my opinion is probably the best.
I agree.
I asked right here on this podcast, Andy Kerr, the guitar player on the seminal early No Means No records, how he did it. And he told me, so if anybody wants to, they can go back and listen to those records as well. But yeah, just the greatest bass tone. And also, and I'm going to go ahead and say, and I know I'm biased, but man, your tone.
Oh, shit.
I
didn't ask that question for that, though.
I know.
Oh, okay.
But
well, thanks.
there's 2 different ones. There's your song Get Low.
Oh, wow. Okay.
On your
Play Rock
the
music.
Toadies Play Rock music record.
Yeah.
And then there's one on is your record, The Lower Side of Uptown?
Yeah. Keep Breathing.
It's Keep Breathing.
Same bass.
Same bass. I think those 2 tones. And it's odd because they're you and they're you playing, and they're very similar tones, but there is a different property because I guess the records were made by different people.
No, both were Frenchy, but I think different studios. Could be.
Chris Smith, Chris 50 Smith,
our
if you
friend
credit him
Chris Frenchy
properly.
Smith, yes.
Yeah, but okay, that's right. I thought maybe Rob Schnapf had done one of those records. I forgot that Chrissy.
He mixed Lower Side, but he didn't mix Keep Breathing.
Oh well, there it is.
Yeah,
that's
why there's.
Well,
that.
then that's really interesting to hear the sonics of two different people's ears. You know, the way they hear two bass tones. Were those the same amps that you used?
It was the Nash Jazz that you gifted me years ago.
Shouts outs to Britton Nash over at Nash.
Totally.
Instruments in Seattle, or is it Seattle or is it or is it Tacoma? Either way, shouts outs to
fine instruments.
Yeah, absolutely. Shouts outs to the wonderful Britton Nash, probably living down the street from Ruinous Media Network, which puts out both of our podcasts. And I want to get to that in a minute, where I say both.
That's a good lead-in.
Both of our podcasts. I know I'm good at this.
You are good at this.
Well, so no, I honestly, and I'm not trying to. Of course, I'm biased. You're my brother, but
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I do think you have, and always have had, really excellent bass tone. And you know, honorable mention. I think Joe Principe always has great bass tone.
Oh God, yeah, I'm so stoked. I've never not loved Joe's tone, ever.
Bill Stevenson, shouts outs to Bill Stevenson.
Very fine instruments.
Yeah. Who is also a mentor to you and me, and
Totally.
who taught us everything we know when we were fucking kids. And long story there, and we could get into it. And we've talked about it a bit. But, you know, Bill took us under his wing when we were both young.
Bill and Stefan both.
And Stefan.
Yeah.
Our band Hackfish, we were teenagers. They liked our band, thankfully enough. And remarkably, they liked our band. And they recorded our record. We were one of the first bands of the Blasting Room, their studio in Fort Collins, Colorado, still making great records. We weren't the first, but we may be the second, maybe the third. And that started a long history with them. And my brother here, Donivan, Blair, and I were in a band with Bill Stevenson called Only Crime. That led into me being blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Long stories. But
you were talking about Joe.
What was
You're talking about Joe.
But Bill called that Joe's bass tone the super gnarl, like gnarly. And it was a Mesa head. And I don't know if Joe talked about that with you, but it was a Mesa head. I think, is it the Super 400? Is that Mesa?
Yeah, but they also had like the Super 400. Remember, I had that, and I bought it, and I think I had blown it up within 5 months.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a Super 400 because that one's kind of common. And Joe says he had one that I believe they discontinued, and so they don't have it anymore. He's always sort of chased that tone, and that is an amazing tone on the Suffer and the Witness by the Rise Against band. But anyway, yeah, great bass tones all around. And, you know, I grew up with you, a bass player that also a purveyor of great bass tone. And so
Well, thank you.
I feel like my sense of bass tone was developed a little bit more acutely than your average guitar player. Just like, it fucking sounds good, dude. You know,
I think
but,
so.
You know, that having been said, when I haven't played with you, I've also been lucky enough to play with really good bass players. Well, great bass players.
Sure.
One of which, Casey Orr.
Oh, God,
from
totally.
When I was in Guar, and Casey was a guy that we idolized when we were kids because we loved Rigor Mortis because we were fucking dirthead thrashers from Texas. So you had to love Rigor Mortis. It just got issued to you. You know what I mean? It was like, here you go. It's like being, what was it that Mike Myers said in the 70s? You just got issued a copy of Frampton Comes Alive. You're just like, you know.
Yeah.
For us, it's like, well, wait, we have long hair and we're into Metallica and Slayer.
Here's
Oh,
your
you're
copy
from
of Rigor
Texas?
Mortis. Yeah.
Here's Rigor Mortis. You know, you like this. There's no question. You know.
But that you made a good point is most guitar players don't listen to bass like you do. And I think it's because we grew up. I mean, you're just as excited about Geddy Lee's tone on Countdown as I am.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you know, like that's a hard question because you do mention somebody like Geddy Lee and it's like, yeah, Red Barchetta, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
How do you beat, you don't beat that bass tone. It's fucking amazing.
Well, you do. If you're Geddy Lee, you go ahead and do Countdown. Or
Yeah.
all of Signals.
Yeah. Well, let's get into a few things because again, you're our second. You're the first.
Repeat offender.
You're the first second. You're the first person to have a second podcast on here.
Thank you for
And
having me.
it's because there's a few big topics we need to talk about.
Yeah.
We'll get to the first one first. The Toadies, the band you are in,
Yep. The Toadies
has a
band.
new record coming out. The
Yes.
Toadies band has a new record coming out called The Charmer.
Yeah.
And notable because it's been a long time since the Toadies have had a record out. In my opinion, I think it is probably one of the best records the Toadies have ever made.
Thank you.
Because you and I, it's odd. You're not just in the Toadies as like, oh, I dig the band and it was cool they called on me. Like you and I loved the Toadies before you
Always,
joined the
yeah.
band. I remember distinctly playing Tuesday, Wednesday night with them at Trees. This is when they were the 5-piece. This is probably 94 and
I think so.
93 maybe. And no one, there was like 10 people at the gig. We bought their demo out of a hatchback of one of their cars. And like, so we just really known these guys forever and always loved them. And to me, when they just had hit singles, it was always like, whoa, that band was always, to me, more of an art rock noise. There was something really interesting always going on with the Toadies that frankly I felt was a bit over the head of the common normal rock and roll radio listener. Do you know what I mean? And I still think that. I think it was like by accident they stumbled into ubiquitous hit songs because they're just great songs. But I always felt like, really? Like those songs go over people's heads because they're onto some different shit.
I see what you're saying, but I think from seeing, I mean, I'm amazed by the spread. As it spread so wide away, and Water and Tyler and PK that people just love it. And I think a lot of it is just the sound of it, and definitely Vaden's voice. I think that is what carries it. Sometimes they don't even give two shits what he's singing. It's his voice carrying it over. I think so.
If you're a musician and you're a muso, like I've talked to other musician friends, they get it because yes, the layman is going to hear this fucking insane rock and roll voice and these really cool catchy guitar riffs, and then "Do You Want to Die" are these things that get repeated that you can latch onto.
Yeah.
But musicians hear the odd time signatures, the parts out of nowhere, the like. They're taking you on a journey.
Yeah.
You know, the 7, the off kilter 7/4.
We love us some 7 in the Toadies.
Yeah, and it's not an easy listen sometimes. You know, it's not just like it's not gonna just So that with the new record, I feel like you're sort of returning to form, so to speak.
Cool. Thank you.
And I mean the form of when you and me were fans. Well, we've always been fans.
Yeah.
Early fans.
Yeah.
Of like, what in the fuck is this band onto? Like, where are these influences come from? I feel like it's a little more of a return to that. So that record is coming out. And also significant that it was one of the last records that Steve Albini made. And you and me did talk about that in the previous episode.
Yeah. Well, we did 2 recordings with Steve. One of them we haven't announced yet. And that
Sure.
I found out like after us was a band Mono from Japan who we met, and they were starting to rehearse as we were winding up, and found out that I believe they were the last band that Steve was working with, and I think so we were the second to last.
I need to ask, but friend of the show, John Congleton, and friend of ours, who, we have lost touch with John for the last 20 some odd years. And John went his way and just conquered his field and won Grammys and couldn't be more proud of him. But we have since reconnected. And again, we don't know when these are going to roll out, but he talks about it on the podcast that because Albini was his mentor, he went and finished the record that Steve was in the middle of making when he passed, sort of to do kind of a solid. And I need to ask John because he might have said on the podcast, and I don't remember if it was Mono, but I need to ask him. If so, that is a crazy worlds collide occurrence.
It was just shocking because we actually,
Yeah.
I mean, Steve had a acerbic wit. And I think a lot of people in this business didn't understand him because he was so dark and sarcastic. And to our credit, so are we. So we were just like, oh, this guy is our spirit animal.
Yeah.
We got along.
Yeah.
He clowned every one of us. We clowned him back. He had great ideas. He had so many fantastic ideas. You were talking about Vaden's voice. So we had done all of the basics, Rez and I had, and a lot of the guitars as well. And Steve hadn't heard Vaden sing yet. We'd been there for like maybe 2 weeks. He had just heard him kind of like Frenna, Frenna. He wasn't singing lyrics. He wasn't singing as it was. So we had a couple of days off because all of our wives were coming into town to just give us a little bit of a break. And Vaden just started singing at that point. He sent us a text that said, hey guys, Albini just heard me sing, and he said I sound like a Texas Bon Scott, and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. He'd never heard him just go for it.
Right. That is totally dead on, and I don't think I would have made that analogy myself, but it is totally true. And God, what a fucking honor,
Yeah, he even, like, we were leaving, and Steve looked at Mark Resnicek, our drummer, and said, man, you're a hell of a drummer.
That's awesome.
And Rez
That's
was
awesome.
like, just, yeah. He didn't say shit to me or Clark, so that's kind of sucks. He did, like, actually once, some of the things he said, I was playing tambourine on a song, and I was trying. It sounded really good. Clark loved it. Everybody said it sounded great. And I asked Steve, I said, hey, Steve, is this too loud? Can you hear this okay, or is it in time? And he went, huh? And I said, the tambourine, can you hear it? It's tambourine. Who fucking gives a shit? Like, yeah. I don't give a shit either.
Yeah, you're right. Like, wait, why am I fucking with this?
Why do I give a shit? But that's the thing, and I think people kind of took that kind of shit the wrong way. We thought all of it was hilarious, but I think Steve knew that we respected the living crap out of him. We were excited to be there, but we had no problem telling him our opinion of things. We had no problem speaking up for ourselves, and not that it was just like, oh, we're here and this is the greatest, and it was, but he also knew that we were going to stand our ground on things, and I think he respected that.
Of the two of us, I'm definitely the more sensitive. I definitely need, you get more bees with honey with me, and you do not need your ego stroked. You do not
you don't need your
need
ego stroked. It's just,
well, I don't need my ego stroked, but I don't need, if I'm recording is like standing there completely naked, you know what I mean? And if somebody doesn't have a good bedside manner, it's like they're just laughing at you naked. Like, oh my God, look, and you've never needed anyone else's praise or adoration or compliments or anything. You were always just you, very self-aware, very, well, in a weird way, not self-aware. And I mean that in a good way, meaning like, I'm
not self-aware.
but
You've met
I think
me.
You aren't, and but that's a compliment because I feel like you have never looked around at anyone else to see how they're doing something. You're gonna do it the way you do it, and you don't give a shit how anyone else is doing it. It's like, well, this is how I do it, so I'm just gonna. And me, I've always looked at how everybody else, and I've taught myself how to do things because I've watched how that guy's playing it or whatever it might be. You just are truly self-taught in every sense of the word, not just with bass, but with just like, you just carve your own path. You've always done it.
Well, thank you for saying that. But I think that's from being your big brother and just trying to carve ahead and kind of lean in if someone's going to do something or say something. But also, when I joined the band, I had to figure out very quickly, I had to let shit roll off my back or I was not going to make it. We're a very
because you and I,
weird band.
Up to that point, you hadn't been in
a band without you.
Right. You had been in Mag 7, which we've already talked about.
Sure.
Which was your instrumental band, which is more of like your therapy, so to speak. You got a chance and an outlet to put out music that was in your head.
But this is a
but
band.
You hadn't been in a function like we had been in Only Crime together, we had been in Hackfish together, we'd always been in bands together, and so Armstrong, fucking, And I had at least been in Guar, and I had,
Guthrie Davies, Adventures of Jet,
yeah, done other things, and had been in. I mean, shit, you joined the Toadies 1 year after I joined
Rise
Rise
Against.
Against. So it happened in pretty quick succession for us. But anyway.
Yeah.
So that is poignant. We will get at some point. Maybe we'll have you back on here to talk about that second release that's going to come out.
But it was
Also with Steve Albini.
Yeah, it was Steve. But he was, for people who don't know, the majority, I would say 99.999% of recording is Pro Tools or DAWs,
Sure.
Digital audio workstations. Steve did not run that. He had a computer in there, and we were fucking with him one day, like, hey, do you know how to turn that on? And he had a laptop and all this. He goes, yeah,
Right.
dickheads, but not when it comes to recording. So if we needed to do an edit, and Steve did do edits very well, but if we heard an edit that needed to be done, he was doing it with a razor blade, old school, like marking up the
That's
tape,
insane.
marking it, going back and doing it just as fast as
Right.
Jason Livermore at Blasting Room doing it with Pro Tools. I swear to God,
Well-
I've seen both of them, and it was just as fast.
I hate to be that old guy that says these kids nowadays, but
These kids nowadays.
fuck, I mean, making records on tape that way, those guys, that was a real craft. When Stefan and Bill and Jason Livermore
Yeah.
in the
Used to.
90s,
Yeah.
we were making edits. It was like, you better make sure that's a huge fuck up. If it's just like maybe that note isn't bent all the way into pitch or whatever, it's like, we're not going to fuck with that, because it was a lot. You were cutting into the tape and splicing it and taping it, it was a lot.
It was amazing.
And so you had to be on your shit. So nowadays, if it's a musician that recorded a record to tape, in my head, I just automatically respect them just a tad bit more, because that's a different situation.
It brought back some awesome memories. Really did. And just
Yeah.
watching Steve work, and hearing the song and hearing a lot of his stories about working with Page and Plant, Bush.
Yeah.
He had some great stories with everybody. He was showing me bass amps if I wanted to use the stuff that David Sims used from Jesus Lizard, or the Shadowy Man on a Shadowy Planet amp. All kinds of stuff.
I went up to see you and meet him while you were there, and I'm really thankful I did.
Yeah.
And just some of the guitars, he had that aluminum Veleno, which I've only ever heard about. It ended up being the one that Kurt Cobain used on In Utero.
Vaden used it on the first song on The Charmer. Out on May 3rd.
Vaden Lewis, am I on May 4th? Vaden Lewis, singer of Toadies. He had a fucking, I was talking to John Cogginson about this. He had a fucking Travis Bean wedge, which is so rare. That's probably one of the rarest guitars, that and the Veleno, in the same room, just sitting up against the wall. It's like those
And
are
you know what he paid
so
for those?
fucking rare.
Some guy owed him money or something like that. So it was a weird guitar deal, but he basically played for the Veleno. That
Veleno.
One. Veleno? Okay. I know what
Yeah,
Veleno.
you just heard me say it before, and then you pronounced it incorrectly.
But, I mean, it's okay. You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
I know what you're talking about. I'm just fucking amazed that you. I just heard it pronounced correctly, and then chose to pronounce it your way.
But there's
and then asked me, "How do you say it?" Like, fucking. Do you want me to rewind?
Well, we have a friend named Volano, and so that's what got in my head.
Did he make that guitar?
She did not make that guitar.
right.
Anyway, so the Veleno and the wedge, he got them both, I think, together for less than $1,000. And he
Goddamn.
ended up selling that aluminum guitar right before he passed. I think some collector wanted it for close to $250,000, something like that.
I bet. I mean, it's easily that much.
But it was just a labor of love. We loved it.
So-
Glad we got to be there and do that.
It sucks that such a terrible thing happened right at the end there.
Yeah.
I am so excited, on the other hand, that the record's finally coming out. You guys do a sort of touching tribute to him in the artwork, and I'm sure everybody will see that as well. So buy it, the package, buy the vinyl. Don't just download it from Spotify or get it on wherever you stream music, but
Well,
also try to get it in its physical part.
And I want to say that is it took us forever to find a great deal with someone, because since we owned the record, we had to find the right deal. And we
Sure,
ended up with The good
Austin,
folks,
Texas own.
Austin, Texas, Space Flight Records.
Yeah, doing great things.
Yeah, and even the people that make the actual vinyls, they're in Texas as well. So everything's kind of like in-house because we were dealing with a couple of labels that just was not a right fit for us. They were excited, but then Spaceflight had the right attitude. Just great guys too.
It's great. And I'm sure you guys will have a home there for as long as you're making records, which hopefully is for a very, very long time. So that brings us to our second topic. One of the reasons we have you on here is you have a podcast coming out.
I do.
And a little backstory. So if you've been a fan
at this
of
point. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. If you're a fan of this podcast, thank you very, very much. And some of you folks out on tour have said things to me, and it's very, very touching, and I really appreciate it because this is absolutely a labor of love. Anyway, I interview a lot of bassists, and this is a guitar podcast. This is, but I didn't want to discriminate, and I know a lot of bass players, and that was something that I sort of started early on, was interviewing bass players. But after interviewing my guest today, my brother Doni Blair, who is also a professional bassist, we just sort of started talking, and we're like, well, why don't you do basically it's the bass version of this podcast, because these folks here at Ruinous are, I think purveyor is the word of the day for this podcast, or the word
purveyor
of
this podcast. Of fine podcasts.
Yeah, they're purveyor, but specifically music podcasts, and there wasn't really a specific bass one. So we sort of cultivated this idea, and it's finally launching. It's finally here, and you've decided to call it Why Bass with Doni Blair.
Because most people don't want to play bass. And I understand that. I didn't want to be some guy just standing at the back playing, just thumping along. But now I do want to be that guy. But I didn't at the time. And so it's always fascinated me, because bass players are a different breed. To be able to want to just stand in the back where no one's looking at you, or like, why are you on stage? Why are you doing this? Your notes are simple. You're, depending on how you play it and how you approach it and just their history, why did they decide to do it? Were you a guitar player that just got suckered into it? Some of them, yes. Right. Some people just lived it. They just heard bass and they wanted to play bass. And so it's those kind of. But I want to talk to country bass players. I want to talk to people who play only 6-string basses, like V6s, or jazz musicians, studio musicians. It's not just one kind of bass player. As long as they play bass, it'd be fantastic. Just what makes you want to do that? Where was that decision, and why do they keep doing it? Why are they sticking with it? So, yeah, I'm stoked.
Well, I am too. And I think it's going to be great. And I hope everyone that listens to this podcast listens to that one, because it's still interesting. Even if you're not a bassist yourself, you should check it out. Hopefully these podcasts we're doing, both of us, aren't just appealing to people that play these instruments. I don't want to get too in the weeds with these things, because frankly, throughout both our careers, I've talked to people that know so much more about gear than I do. So much more about music than I do, or whatever. And I do prefer to sort of toe the line and go right in the middle. I don't want to know everything there is to know about it, because I feel like as a listener, it gets boring. I want there to be a human element. I want it to be a conversational element.
Yeah, but there's also appealing to, and I say this with love in my heart, the nerds, bass nerds, guitar nerds. Because, honestly, if I'm going to listen to something like that, whenever I do listen to guitar-centric or bass-centric podcasts, and they start talking more about their history instead of what they're playing, I want to know what they are playing. If I'm listening to Scott Schreiner from Weezer, I want to hear what he is playing. I don't give two shits how he got in the band. I want to know what he's playing on stage. So there's that dividing line. You're right. You can't get too into the weeds, but you have to be,
It's difficult. And, also with a guy that maybe isn't, let's say, in bass, I think maybe the one thing with you is going to be like, some of these people aren't used to being interviewed. They're not used to being in the spotlight. They're not used to, they're maybe they sing backing vocals, but maybe they don't. They just sit there and play bass.
We're bass players. It's going to gives a shit. They don't want to interview us.
It's going to be getting that information out of them. It might be a difficult thing, which will be interesting. So we all, as as your listening audience will be able to tune in and hear you try to pull that off every week.
It's easier than you think because, like I said, it's kind of like the majority of us, no one wants to talk to us. And I'm not being, I'm just saying we're bass players who, unless you're Paul McCartney,
Sure.
who wants to talk to you, or Sting, you know?
Right. Which, by the way, side note, anyone that does like Paul McCartney should read. There is a new book about Wings.
Oh, yeah.
And
I got to read that.
It's just in quotes, and it's amazing. And if you weren't a Paul McCartney fan before it, which I was a diehard Paul McCartney fan, you will be afterwards.
If you weren't a Paul McCartney fan before, you're wrong.
I agree. If you don't like the Beatles, you're fucking wrong.
You're wrong.
Put it that way.
Sorry, it's a fact. You can argue all you want. You're wrong.
Well, to say they're like your favorite band, they are me, but it's almost not even that undercuts it so much. They were just a genre of music. They weren't even to just merely call the Beatles a rock and roll band. It's like, no, it was like classical music. Do you know what I mean? The Beatles were Beatle music. It was just a genre, a period, a time. Those songs are ubiquitous. They will be around forever. It's crazy. We still live in a time where two of them are still alive. You know, it was so impactful and so important and so meaningful that it's crazy. It was even within the last 100 years that it happened. Do you know what I mean? Usually when things are that significant, it was from something that had happened way before any of us were alive, you know?
And McCartney still being alive. I mean, and I've said this before, and I stand by it. I'll die on this cross. You can learn everything, even if someone was like, I want to play bass, and all they learned was just McCartney bass lines. Nothing else, period. Yeah. No Rush, no Yes, no Metallica, nothing. Only Beatles. That's all you would ever need. Fuck.
That's
I mean,
true.
you can learn
No,
something. The bass line is something, and that's all you ever need. Hands down.
But, you know, going in this deep dive with the Wings book, you realize how many songs after the Beatles, whether his solo records, McCartney 1, Ram, McCartney 2, how many of those songs were just his that you think were the Beatles? Maybe I'm Amazed. Let Him In.
Maybe I'm Amazed that wasn't a fucking Beatles song.
Exactly.
I did not know that,
but like,
you know?
Yeah, Maybe I'm Amazed is on McCartney 1. Crazy, right? I always thought that was a Beatles song.
Yeah. He just had it in his back pocket.
Yeah. And you and me have always loved Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey, which is on Ram. Yeah. But if for the layman, if anybody's going to hear that song, I bet you people have argued up and down that that's the Beatles, you know?
And he did it all himself. I remember, I think first time we heard it, Mom or Dad, one of the two. I've got an association with it being rainy. We couldn't go outside or something and fuck each other up or do anything or get fucked up like in the woods. But I remember them playing that song. We're like, what the hell? And it just being, it was great. Yeah, really cool.
Well, anyway, all right, Bub. For anyone confused, I've only called you Bub twice now, but I call him Bub. His name
He's not allowed to call me
Donivan Blair.
No.
Yeah, but he is my guest today, and he has a new podcast coming out on the Ruinous Media Network right here. You can listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts, and it will be called Why Bass with Donivan Blair. Are you going with Donivan Blair or Donnie Blair?
Donivan Blair. As if I say Donnie, it's kind of like I do the end of, it's like I do the dot with a heart. Donnie. No.
Gotcha. Donnie, if you're nasty.
Donovan
Blair.
Donnie, never to you.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And it's going to be awesome.
Say also, our record's coming out, The Charmer, May 3rd. And we're going to go.
I was getting to that.
Well, I'm also going to say I'm starting our tour.
Oh, shit. Right. A lot going on with Donivan Blair this year.
Thank you for saying Donovan. Even though I still don't like that coming out of your mouth.
No, I know.
But you can't say
with Bub. Yeah, with Bub Blair.
But we're going to start April 30th in Abilene, Texas. Well, Local 8 are going to do the whole tour. And then Vandaliers are going to be doing half. Okay. And then our other good friends in Sparta will be doing the other half.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, because let me just say how much that tickles me, because Sparta's drummer is Neil Hennessy. And if anybody knows anything about the Rise Against band, Neil Hennessy's the de facto fifth member. He filled in for our bassist Joe Principe in Australia recently on bass. He's Tim, our singer, is his best friend from childhood. They had a band together called Baxter when they were kids, and he's just world-class musician and is the drummer for Sparta. And you guys know each other, but not very well. And you're the two people in the world that I feel like should know each other better. So I'm so happy you guys are going on tour together, and it's just going to be a love fest.
And we know Jim Ward as well, and just super nice guy.
Just good people.
Great band. Yeah.
Good people. That's going to be a great tour. I can't wait to see it. So if that is coming through your town and you're listening to this, you have to go see that show. See my brother play some bass, man.
That's what I do.
Well, I think this episode went much better than our last one, which if you listened, it was probably 45 minutes of us arguing about a bass from his past. And so
With the
I think we're
P-bass?
doing all right. Yeah, the P-bass.
Yeah.
The bass that shall not be named or talked about again.
I know. It sucks. It still haunts me, especially when I think about it now. God
Well,
damn it.
aside from our argument about it, still getting rid of it was like fucking Jesus.
I got rid of that. I mean, I told you about the Rick, right?
Yeah, I know.
You know.
I know, dude. You've gotten rid of some stupid shit. You've done some
I've made
shit.
some Hey, I know, but I wasn't playing it.
I mean, dude, I have too. We were kids and like we didn't have any fucking money. You know, we grew up in either a trailer home or an apartment with our full family, and we both had a guitar at a time. And if we wanted another guitar, we had to trade that guitar in. So we're still the types of guys that get fucking excited about some new guitar or whatever. So back then it was like, I know I have a Les Paul right now, but I want to get whatever the fuck, and I've got to get rid of this to get it. So
Yeah.
we did some stupid shit.
I can't remember what I sold that Rick for, but it had only been played by Lemmy once by him.
Oh, that's right.
That one, and I got it for
remember.
$500.
That was really fucking stupid. The backstory is that Lemmy had come to Dallas to record a song with Jim Heath, with the Reverend Horton Heat,
Yeah.
Dallas local legend guitar player, who I would love to have on this podcast.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Jim, if you're listening. So Lemmy comes into town. He didn't have a bass. He was like, I'm going to record bass. I need a bass. So he sent someone to go buy a Rickenbacker at the local guitar center.
Well,
'Cause
he
didn't
and
bring-
Jim split it. Jim put in 500.
Yeah.
Lemmy put in 500.
And so it was like he wasn't going to play any other bass. He could have just played what they had, but he's Lemmy, so he had to play a Rickenbacker. So then he leaves after that session and left the bass there. And then you somehow bought that bass
For $500.
for $500. But it had been brand new. It was only used by Lemmy.
Once.
So you had that story, and then you got. What year was that? When was that? When did that happen?
2001, I think. No, 2002. Because we had our house. Yeah.
What's funny is that I usually ask everyone what their one that got away instrument is, and I've already asked you that on the last one. So you just gave me another one for this podcast, and that one's just fucking sad.
Right. They're both really,
What did
really,
you-
really sad.
What did you trade that one for?
Actually, I think I sold it for
Like a
3
fucking
times what it was worth.
Hondo.
No,
Oh, yeah.
no. I think I was able to get Frank, our puppy dog, for Shell with that. And then I think I bought like a Precision, or I bought something. No, I bought another Geddy Lee jazz bass. That's what I did.
Okay.
So
You traded it for a fucking BC Rich Warlock, but like the NJ series.
like lime green.
You traded it for a PV Foundation.
Those
Hey,
aren't-
nothing
Foundation,
against the
not a
PV
T.
Foundation.
No.
No, the
Nothing against
T40s.
the T40s. Fuck yeah.
T40s are pretty fucking rad.
Everything against
Those
a
are-
PV Foundation. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, all right, Bob. I've kept you long enough. Look, I can't say enough about supporting you because you're my
Thank you.
brother. But that new record is fucking amazing, and I hope
Thank
everyone listening to this buys a copy, tells their friends about it, and I also hope anyone that listens to this podcast, The Anti-Heroes, will listen to Why Bass with Donivan Blair. Also, again, right here on Ruinous Media Network. So, thanks for doing this again.
thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Love you.
All right. Love you. Bye.
I call him Bub. Donnie if you're nasty. No, I call him Bub. I never call him Donnie. He hates when I call him Donnie. I've never really done it. I only do it when I'm trying to bother him. You know, it's that. I'm sure a lot of people you can't pronounce. I couldn't pronounce Donnie or Donivan when I was little, so I just called him Bub. Isn't that cute? But that's my brother Donnie, and I'm so proud of him. So proud of him, and I'm looking forward to listening to all of his podcasts, and hope you are too. If you like this podcast, you're gonna like that one. It's basically the bass version of this. It's just not called The Bass Heroes, which was my suggestion. I think he should have done that, but you know, no one listens to me. But I'm glad you do. Glad you're listening right now. I'm glad you're listening to me. I wouldn't be doing this if you weren't. So I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to tune in every other week to what I'm blathering on about in this guitar world. I really appreciate it. Do not take it for granted. At the end here, I'm going to thank the folks over at Jim Dunlop and MXR Pedals. Find out what they're doing at jimdunlop.com. Sorry, I get talking so fast and then I just mispronounce everything. Also, the folks over at DistroKid, they're helping the artists, the musicians get their music on the streaming platforms. That is great work right there that those folks are doing. I'm going to leave you with some of my brother's work. Since we talked about their new record, it will be out here in March, so hopefully it's out by now and you can listen to it. You can listen to this song. I'm going to go with the title track off their new record, The Charmer. Title track is The Charmer, and once again, my brother with his killer, crushing, awesome bass tone. It's just fucking awesome bass tone, man. I would know it was him if you blindfolded me and gave me 10 basses to listen to. I'd know it's my brother. It's just in his hands. And granted, he has great gear, and he plays Rickenbacker basses, and he plays Dark Glass pedals, and he's helped out, but he can also sound like him on just shitty gear. He has, you know, it's just the way he plays. He's my fave. He's my favorite bass player. He always has been. And my favorite person. I love him very much, and I'm so glad you listened to this episode. At the end here, I'm going to say fuck ICE. I'm going to say free Palestine. I'm going to say we got to help out trans kids, trans folk, LGBTQ plus folks of all stripes. And we got to help people that are immigrating to other countries for better lives. Don't be a fucking asshole. Come on, it's not that hard. Thank you for listening. I'm going to keep doing this. I appreciate you.
Do you leave me when you're dreaming? Do you feel me pressed to your side? I'm the liar in feet to fire. It's only you that keeps me alive. The charmer. The charmer. The charmer. The charmer. I'm a circle around your world. Nowhere you can go, I can't see. Little dreamer, true believer, you'd be nothing if it weren't for me. The charmer. The charmer. The charmer.